This is The Drive with Dale Lolley and Matt Williamson on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. SNR, Steelers Nation Radio.
And welcome to The Drive. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and it is Friday.
It is.
Before all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, hell could break loose while we're on the air.
It could. And
hell's been gradually breaking loose over the last couple of days,
slowly
right?
but surely. It's like we're in a Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Unleashing some of the hounds. Yeah, right.
Yeah, we're in the hell mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And
more's coming.
More is coming. But I thought we'd take a look at the AFC today, Matt, to start the show. And where some of these other teams are at across the conference in terms of what they have as free agents and how much cap space they have.
Okay.
And so we'll start with the AFC.
Should we go team by team?
Yeah, we'll go AFC East. I'll hit on some of the bigger named free agents on each one of these teams.
Yeah.
It's not the only free agents they have, but certainly some of the bigger names. The Buffalo Bills, who...
They're kind of an odd one.
They're an odd one because they don't have a ton of cap space. In fact, they have the second least amount of cap space going into this. Right now, they're still $11 million over the salary cap.
There's still a handful of teams over the cap.
Yeah,
as
they
it speaks
get
right
there.
now. Right,
Yeah.
The Saints are like $29 million or something.
Now, they don't have any guys who you look at and go, boy, they got to get that guy. Rasul Douglas is one I think they want to re-sign.
Yeah, he's useful.
They get some defensive linemen, Dwayne Smoot, Quentin Jefferson, Austin Johnson, Jordan Phillips, who are all
could use it. Yeah,
unrestricted free agents. Ty Johnson is a guy that they like a lot.
He's a quality player,
back.
but Amari Cooper, but that was a rental,
But they're not going to be big buyers.
I don't think so. Unless it's like for Myles Garrett or Trey Hendrickson. You mean like something like that?
In which case, they're going to have to move
a lot
to make that something like that happen.
I think Josh Allen's contract is getting close to the end, where they've already started to say that it's, we're going to start having that conversation. So they could borrow from the bank of Allen, as any team can with their big-time quarterbacks. But I think he's sort of close to the end of the deal he's on.
He's not.
He's not?
He's
okay.
signed through 2028.
Oh, okay.
The problem with so in 2025, his base salaries in his contract,
Are they already low?
It's only $14 million.
Oh, okay.
So you're not going to get a lot of savings
No,
there.
you're not.
It's $22 million next year, 14, and then 10. They didn't build that contract to be able to borrow from the Bank of Allen.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what they did with that. Now they have an out after this year.
Okay.
They're not going to do the out though. On Josh Allen.
Maybe what I was hearing is he might start to make a fuss, or
Could be.
I mean that it might be just coming soon because he's worth it.
I mean, his initial contract was 6 years, $258 million.
Mm-hmm. I don't even know what the going rate is for him. Whatever you want.
I mean, his cap hit this year is $44.7 million. Next year it goes up to 63.9. Then it's 56.9, 48.2.
That's unreasonable to me.
No,
right,
but
right,
there's just not a lot of wiggle room there with the contracts. So they're not going to be
They're going to be kind of a status quo team to me, unless they can pull off some big deal. Like for kind of like what they tried to do with Von Miller that didn't work. Some kind of pass rusher.
But if they do that, it's just going to be one thing.
I think it'd be one big thing.
It's not going to be multiple ads. So they're not going to be markedly better next
shocked.
year than they were this year.
I don't think they'll be markedly worse either. I think they'll be a contender again.
Yeah. They are what they are.
They're good.
The Miami
Clearly
Dolphins,
the favored in that division.
Yeah, the Miami Dolphins, however,
it's a little hairy.
They've got about 25 guys here who are free agents.
Some of them are better players than people might recognize. I mean, Devon Holland comes to mind.
Just looking here at their guys, Jackson Carman, Kendall Lamb, a couple of their offensive linemen, Liam Eichenberg, Robert Jones, Isaiah Wynn. I mean, that's 5 offensive linemen that you got to replace.
NFL offensive linemen. And their O-line's really bad to begin with.
Tyus Bowser, the edge. Emmanuel Ogbah, another edge. Calais Campbell, who I'm sure they'd love to have back but can't afford.
They just restructured Bradley Chubb off the edge.
Yeah. Terrell Dodson, one of their linebackers. Kendall Fuller, they had to release just to get more cap compliant. Javon Holland, Jordan Poyer, so both are starting safeties.
Holland's going to make big time.
He's going to make big money, and you're looking at a team that has, as I look here, we get into this, where are the Miami Dolphins? The Dolphins have $28.4 million in cap space.
Yeah, and Tyreek Hill's rumored to be on the block. That seems to be dying down. I'm not hearing nearly as much about that.
I think it would end up costing them money.
Yeah, I don't think it's a saving move. The key is all the names. You know, like you got to fill out your roster.
Right.
Like,
You need basically an entire offensive line.
Yeah.
On 28.4, really $20 million.
Mm-hmm.
That ain't going to get it done.
No. I don't know where they'll improve. I mean,
Right.
team health.
They're not going to be
better.
a better team next year than they were this year.
I would be shocked. Right.
So, again, taking a step back.
Mm-hmm. They were a push your chips in all your chips in type team a couple years ago.
The Patriots have the most cap space available.
Right. They're gonna have a hard time spending it.
Yeah. But they've got Jacoby Brissett. You got Austin Hooper, Sione Taki, who they released, Jonathan Jones.
They don't have any good players.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're starting basically. They're almost like an expansion team.
Almost right. Year one was last year. You got your quarterback right. Now you have a new coach.
A new coach, and I think he'll make a difference there. But they're starting from way down here.
Yeah.
Their goal next year should be like get to 6 or 7 wins.
Absolutely.
They're not going to be a playoff contender.
No, if they can start to build around May, give him another legit
2
weapon,
years from now, maybe
2 linemen. Yeah. Right. Let's build it. They're pouring the foundation.
Right.
I mean, yeah. So I think the arrow's pointing up.
They could be the second best team in that division.
Wow.
But that division.
I hadn't thought of that.
That division is going to be bad.
It's going to be bad. The Bills should steamroll through the division.
Yeah. The Jets
they're in limbo team.
They've got a just 20 free agents.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at they have $51.3 million in salary cap space, but they don't have a quarterback.
Right.
They just cut their best wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
You still have
they have some pieces. Yeah.
But you're looking at guys like Tyler Conklin, who's been a good player for them, Morgan Moses and Tyron Smith.
Offensive tackles.
Both your offensive tackles.
Which they knew was coming. They drafted a tackle in the first round last year.
Hassan Reddick, who they didn't get anything out of, but they traded for him.
No, he's leaving.
Javon Kinlaw, Solomon Thomas, a couple of defensive linemen, Jamin Davis, who they signed.
The other linebackers played really well for them, too.
Jamie Sherwood.
Yeah.
And you're looking at Brandon Eccles, DJ Reed's not going back. Kendall Sheffield not going back. Ashton Davis, Isaiah Oliver, Chuck Clark, and Jalen Mills. 4 safeties that they got to replace on that roster, and kicker Greg Joseph.
In a similar, well, not exactly the same, but they were like the Dolphins, where our windows, this Rodgers 2 years, and it didn't happen.
Take advantage of it.
It didn't happen, right?
They're taking a step back next year.
Oh, yeah, they could be picking them
or
up
they're just spinning their wheels.
Yeah.
So really, of the contenders in the AFC North or AFC East, playoff contenders, I'm saying.
Yeah.
There's one playoff team there.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, we don't have crystal balls, and Tua could be the MVP and light the world on fire. Who knows? But I mean, the way I don't like where those other 3 teams are at right now to make noise.
And there's no quarterback in this draft. And I like Cam Ward.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think there's a quarterback in this draft that's coming to the AFC. First of all, I don't think Cam Ward is coming to the AFC. I think he's going to be an NFC quarterback.
I don't think Tennessee will stick and pick.
Nobody's going to be Jaden Daniels. Nobody's going to be
Stroud
with Houston.
He's the only one that has any chance, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I think he's further away than those guys.
Yeah, I don't think he's as good.
Yeah.
The Ravens, they're free agents. You're looking at you're going to lose Josh Johnson, so they're going to be looking for another backup quarterback. Patrick Ricard is a free agent. I would think they want him back.
I would think. I just don't know what they'll pay him.
Nelson Aguilar, Tylan Wallace. So 2.
They're replaceable.
They're replaceable, but it's going to cost you money.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Jones, Ronnie Stanley, Ben Cleveland, Patrick McCarry, 4 offensive linemen.
And I think there's a legit chance Mark Andrews gets traded.
Yeah.
To help them keep a Stanley or somebody like that.
Chris Board and Malik Harrison, a pair of linebackers for them.
Mm-hmm.
And Harrison ended up playing quite a bit for them down the stretch. Brandon Stevens and Tre'Davious White. Darius Washington, who ended up starting a bunch of games for them.
Yeah.
And Marcus Williams. And, oh, by the way, the Ravens only have, $12 million of salary cap. $10.5 million.
Yeah, they don't have – I don't think they'll be buyers. I think they'll try to hold on to whatever pieces they possibly can. Stanley's going to be tough, but I'm sure that's their top priority. Maybe it's just like Washington and Ricard or McCarry or something like that.
But they're not going to be a better team.
I wouldn't think. It wasn't like, boy, they got crushed by injuries and they're getting all these guys back or anything like that. They'll be probably similar, kind of like the Bills.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Bills. Right.
They're good.
Maintaining.
But they're not going to add to what they have other than through the draft.
I'd be shocked.
And you're picking very late.
And of course, they're picking late, like the Bills.
Yeah.
Like the Chiefs, who we'll get to.
And the problem, the Ravens had always been a team when they would lose guys in free agency.
Mm-hmm.
They always had guys waiting in the wings.
Which is the Wiggins pick.
They don't have that really this year.
Wiggins is coming in for Stevens, but now they need another corner to be the third guy.
And the offensive line is not.
That's the problem.
They've missed on some of those guys that they've drafted.
Yeah, that's the area of concern to me. And we didn't bring up the 2 fifth-year options that are coming up. Right.
They're going to be expensive. The Bengals, you're looking at Gesicki.
Mm-hmm.
Trent Brown is a free agent. They let Alex Kappa go. He's already signed. Cody Ford, Sam Hubbard retired. Joseph Asai is a free agent. B.J. Hill gone. Sheldon Rankins gone. Jay Tufele gone. Akeem Davis Gaither, who's played some for them, gone. Mike Hilton and Marco Wilson, a pair of cornerbacks. And Von Bell, also a free agent.
Yeah, and I think there's going to be a couple more cap casualties on defense. Higgins is obviously staying.
They have $51.7 million in free in available cap space, but basically 28 of that is going to be taken up.
I was like, Higgins hasn't signed yet. Right.
Higgins' contract hasn't gone on to that yet until he signs the deal. They have to leave that space open.
Right. I mean, it's just like a vacant.
Yeah. It's much like the if you remember when Le'Veon Bell didn't sign his franchise tender, the Steelers got that money back on their cap every week that he didn't play. So every week he didn't play, they were getting like $800,000 in additional cap space. So while the number looks good on paper, the reality is it's really about $24 million.
And again, I think there are more defensive cuts coming, but they're not great. I mean, they just open up another starting
bad
spot.
Players,
Right. I mean, that's the problem is one side of the ball is good, one side of the ball is bad. I don't know how you build a defense in a year. Some of their recent draft picks have to get better. They haven't shown a lot of signs of that. I kind of still like Dax Hill, but the other guys, Murphy and those dudes, haven't done much. They do have a quarterback, obviously. I mean, they're going to put points up on the board, and you would think a Mims is a little better in year two.
But that wasn't their problem. Again, they scored points
right.
last year.
I don't think we're doubting that they'll score points.
But they couldn't stop anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that what they're going to put together through free agency is going to help them stop anybody.
I know. And I didn't sit in on your interview like with Butch, and I know we had two different Bengals guys on at the Combine. But my hunch is what they would say if they were in our shoes right now is if we can get that defense to 20th, that and maintain what's on offense.
Here's the thing: that's still not going to help you beat the Bills.
Your best guy is going to get traded.
Yeah, that's not going to help you get past Kansas City. And some of these other, yeah, you'll beat the Clevelands of the world. Maybe you split with the Steelers, but is that going to be good enough to get you more than 9 wins?
I think that's the big picture issues in Cincinnati worry me quite a bit.
You need to replace some offensive linemen.
Right.
You can't. Burrow, as much as we love him, has had a tendency to get hurt.
Sure. He'll hold the football and take big hits.
So it's a precarious situation.
It is. I mean,
they'll be a playoff contender because of Burrow.
I would think so.
And Chase, but they're not a slam dunk.
No, they're definitely not a slam dunk.
The Browns.
I think they're the worst organization in the league right now.
Yeah, and we don't need to go through it all. So, in fact, somebody on the message board today, can you guys go one show without talking about the Browns?
All right.
Whatever.
We're done.
We talk about the league.
Yeah, right.
We talk
they happen to be in the division.
They happen to be in the division. It is germane to the situation.
Yeah, and they do a bunch of crazy stuff. Like the owner doesn't meet with their star player when he wants to discuss his future.
Yeah, we'll pass on the Steelers for now. We know their situation.
Yeah.
The AFC South, the Houston Texans, they had to
make some moves to get Kirk under the cap.
Right.
They cut Shaq Mason. They made a couple other.
As we sit here right now, they've got $5.2 million in cap space.
I knew they were up against it.
So they're not going to be a major player in free agency.
No, they were last year.
Yeah.
That was last year.
That was their
Neil Hunter and Tiggs and those dudes, right.
They've got Case Keenum, the backup quarterback. All right. You got to pay a backup quarterback.
Honestly, backup quarterbacks matter, though. I mean, you're not going to get one for nothing.
Stephon Diggs and Robert Woods. Irv Smith.
Okay. Kirk's going to replace. Did you see Tank Dell's situation?
He just had his surgery
today or yesterday. I mean, he's done.
He's not playing next year. Kendrick Green and Shaq Mason.
And they cut Mason.
They cut Mason to get cap compliant.
Yeah.
But it's two guards that played for you.
Yeah. Oh, Mason used to be really, really good.
Yeah. Derek Barnett and Jerry Hughes.
Okay.
two older
Depth guys,
edge rushers,
yeah.
but still.
That's probably were easy moves.
Mario Edwards and Foley Fatakasi, two defensive linemen. Neville Hewitt and Devin White. Miles Bryant, Kadar Holman, Jeff Okuda, and then two safeties, Eric Murray, MJ Stewart, and the long snapper. Everybody's got long snappers that are
They're all up.
They're all bunch of teams that are long snappers are up. So
I think they're just going to keep kind of. I mean, they're not as good as the Bills.
You're basically replacing Diggs with Kirk.
Yeah.
Diggs and Woods with Kirk because you're not going to add a
second-round pick or something like that too on that side of the ball or line help. But I think they're going to basically run it back, saying we like our core, led by Will Anderson and Hunter and Stroud and Nico and those guys. And
as things stand right now,
change much.
They don't even have enough money right now probably to sign their rookie class.
I'd say there might be
do some more things,
or something. I don't know what Tunsil is or who else they could get, move around money.
Yeah. The Indianapolis Colts, they have – where are we at here? Where are Colts? They're way down the list here somewhere. No? Where are the Colts at?
In terms of how much cap space
looking for cap space here in the Colts.
That one I don't know.
They color code this thing, and it should be easier to read than it is. There they are. Okay, they have $40.3 million.
Okay, so kind of middle of the road.
Yeah. But they've got Flacco and Sam Ellinger, so they're in the market for a backup.
Oh, they've already said they're going to bring in competition.
And they've got to bring in a guy that's not going to be cheap.
Right. It's
like
some kind of competition.
Yeah. Trey Sermon, Ashton Doolin, the wide receiver. Tight ends, Mo Alley Cox and Kylan Granson. Now, those guys aren't household names.
No, but they've played over the years.
They've played a lot for this team over the years, and
they're always mocked Warren.
Yeah.
I don't know if the tight end's a move for them. I mean, the defense could use a facelift, and there's a couple of linemen that might not be back.
Here's where it gets interesting.
That's where it gets interesting.
Will Fries,
who's good. He's going to make a lot of money.
Mark Lewinsky, who's played over the years for them. Danny Pinter and Ryan Kelly, they're two centers.
Kelly might retire.
Yeah, and there's no centers in this draft.
No, right. They need to find two starters.
Yeah,
Kelly and Fries are starters.
They might need to be the team that goes out and signs the Drew Dahlman.
And something like that, right.
Something along those lines.
Or maybe they take Booker or Zabel in the first round. Yeah. That's why tight end seems like a luxury they can't afford.
Deo Odebejo,
former first-round pick.
Yeah. Edge rusher. Taven Bryan, the defensive lineman. Raekwon Davis, defensive lineman. E.J. Speed at linebacker. Now, I don't think E.J. Speed is a great player.
No, but he's a starter.
But he's a starter for them.
Yeah.
And then the safety, Julian Blackman.
And 3 linebackers signed yesterday that made pretty decent money.
Yeah.
I would think Speed would be in that neighborhood.
Yeah. So, I mean,
I don't think there's a lot of wholesale changes. But
they're in the process of rebuilding the offensive line, or they're going to have to rebuild the offensive line. They're going to have to go get a quarterback to compete.
Of consequence.
Yeah, somebody who can actually play.
And it's a total defensive scheme switch, too.
Yeah.
Like some of the round pegs aren't going to fit the holes.
Could they be a contender?
Maybe,
but I'm not. Richardson would have to
be.
Richardson would have to take a major step.
I would say the quarterback would have to be way better than last year's version.
Yeah.
At least be middle of the road.
Yeah.
I do think the defensive scheme switch is helpful. And Jonathan Taylor and Pittman and those guys are good players.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not. The cupboard's not bare. They could be a 500-ish.
I was just going to say they'll be a 7 to 9 win team.
I would bet, like when the Vegas odds come out, it's 8. Something like that.
Yeah. We'll move on to the Jaguars when we come back. We're going to continue this little work here as we got to get through the
Jags are making moves left and right.
They're making moves left and right there once again.
They just rent players for a couple of years and then cut them.
They're like the what's the Rent-A-Center? I guess the Rent-A-Center.
The Rent-A-Center.
Right.
Right.
That's what they do. You can go and get some
nice
furniture and all this stuff, and then they come padlock your door when you
can't afford it.
Can't afford it anymore. Let's get to a break. He is Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with more right after this. And we are back. I am Dale Lolley here with Matt Williamson, and we're going through all of the teams in the AFC as we get closer to free agency beginning at next week, and measuring whether they are a playoff contender or not based on what they can actually do this offseason.
Are they trending up or down, or, what this offseason entails for them,
And thus far, I think we've come up with Indianapolis as a potential playoff contender. The Bengals are a potential playoff contender.
Yeah.
The Bills and Ravens are
trying to stay where they're at, and should be in decent
not just playoff
shape.
contenders.
Right.
They're probably, you can pencil those two teams into the playoffs next year,
barring
catastrophe.
But they both probably lose more than they gain.
Yeah, they're not going to be
often the case.
necessarily be better teams than they were this year.
Mm-hmm.
Which brings us to Jacksonville.
They're kind of a tough one for me because I still have a candle lit for the quarterback.
Yeah.
But I was joking today on the air. So every year they clear their books. They're off goes Kirk and Ingram and all these dudes. And they're getting ready for a big signing spree. They're going to overspend on 3
That's
contracts.
the problem. Because of what they've done, they have to overspend to get these guys.
Right.
Because
and then they're gone.
Players know, hey, this is going to be a 2-year deal.
Yeah.
I'm going to be here for like 2 years.
They're the Rent-A-Center.
Yeah.
I mean, they just rent dudes. I mean, exactly what they are. Then they're not there for long. And then we start going through it. I'm like, they pick in the top 5 every year.
Every year.
And where's their homegrown talent? Where's the Jalen Ramsey that you draft 4th overall that retires a Jag? They
don't exist.
They need Lawrence to be that guy, but they don't exist.
And you also know going to play for Jacksonville, hey, I'm going to have to go in the middle of the season and spend 2 weeks in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
I know that going in because they just volunteer to do that.
Right.
And talk about all the Duval all you want.
Mm-hmm.
That's a garbage organization.
It's a brutal one, right. I do think Liam Cohen's a nice addition. And like his press conference recently said, we love Evan Ingram, but we want big blocking tight ends like the Bucks and, that type of thing. We want to, bang, and he just doesn't fit. Okay, so it's just more change.
Yeah.
But if they can revitalize Lawrence, I could see them being an 8-win team. That would be a successful season for them.
They have $48.9 million in available cap space.
I'm sure that's updated because they made a lot lately. Right.
C.J. Beathard and Mac Jones, both backup quarterbacks.
Mac Jones isn't terrible, by the way.
Dearness Johnson, one of their running backs.
Mm-hmm.
Devin Duvernay and Christian Kirk.
He's
out
gone,
the door.
right.
Evan Ingram and Luke Farrell, 2 of the tight ends.
Mm-hmm. They have Strange that they like that at least it's sitting there.
Here's where it gets interesting for them. Brandon Scherf.
I thought he was thinking about retirement.
Mitch Morse did retire.
He did retire, yes.
And guard Blake Hance. So they're going to need to rework the interior of their offensive line, and there's no...
They traded Cam Robinson at the deadline, too.
So they need tackle. They need...
The O-line is
interior offensive
he's basically the new staff has basically said we are going to start with the O-line.
Yeah, Ronald Darby and Andre Cisco, 2 defensive backs.
Defense has a chance to still be decent. The front 7 has some guys. Nothing about it's been good.
But I don't see them making. I don't see them as a playoff contender next year.
No, I said 8-win ceiling.
Yeah.
I mean, if Lawrence looks like he's on the right path.
The thing with these coordinators who are going on to now become head coaches, you don't know if they can do it or not.
No, it's a totally different world.
I mean, it might be really bad at it.
You could
be the best offensive coordinator in the world. You might be a terrible head coach.
Sure. It's a totally different world. And the organization's not strong. There's no roots.
The Tennessee Titans.
Well, I bet they don't pick 1st overall next year. So I'm going to say they get better.
$50.6 million in cap space. But they got Mason Rudolph, Tyler Boyd, Nick Westbrook-Akine, Nick Vanette, the tight end. Guards Daniel Brunskill and Dylan Radens. Center Corey Levin. They just released Harold Landry to clear cap space. Defensive lineman Sebastian Joseph Day and James Lynch. Jerome Baker at linebacker. Raekwon McMillan at linebacker.
There's not many names there I care about.
Yeah. They were a bad team.
They earned the first pick in the draft.
They were a bad team. There's nowhere to go but up.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not going to be a playoff contender next year.
No, I would think not. I mean,
I don't even know if they're going to draft a quarterback.
I think that might be Darnold or Rodgers.
And I don't know that makes them if I'm Sam Darnold, I don't want to sign there.
If I'm Rodgers, I don't want to sign there either. I mean,
Rodgers is going to be at a point though where he's going to be like, if he wants to play,
do I want to play football?
Whoever wants me, that's where I'm going to go play at.
Probably.
Whereas Darnold will have some suitors.
Oh yeah, he'll have 3 or 4 teams that are offering a legit contract at his age.
But if I'm looking at that roster, I'm going, do I really want to go there?
Right. I don't know where the building blocks are. Like they drafted Skoronski and Latham. Okay, that's 2/5 of an offensive line, and neither one's been great.
Yeah.
And Jeffrey Simmons is fine, but what's he? 28, 29 by now, something like that. Yeah, I mean they spent like crazy on Ridley, who's older than you think, Snead, all those type of dudes, and what do they get out of it? The first pick in the draft.
Pick in the draft.
That's how you get fired. You're like they were the most aggressive team in free agency last year and ended up the first pick in the draft. That should never happen.
Right.
I mean, that's the way it goes.
Yeah. So I don't see them being.
And I don't think
legit...
Levis all of a sudden is going to turn into a big time guy.
I don't think they're going to be a playoff contender.
No, I don't either. They would need so many things.
A bad division.
even if Rodgers went there and played great,
Yeah.
I mean, it's still not nothing around him.
AFC West.
This division is more promising.
All right. The Denver Broncos currently have – where the Broncos at on here? The Broncos have –
I think they're like middle of the road.
Yeah. Oh, there they are. $40.5 million in available cap space.
Okay.
Jared Stidham and Zach Wilson, so they're going to need a backup
They're good
quarterback.
backup, right.
Javonte Williams, they need a running back.
Oh, they might draft one in the first round.
Yeah. Fullback Michael Burton. Wide receiver little Jordan Humphrey.
Yeah.
Okay. Matt Pert at offensive line. Nose tackle DJ Jones, who's a good player.
He's a good player, run stuffer, yeah.
Linebacker Cody Barton and Justin Strnad and punter Riley Dixon. So not a lot
much, right.
that they're going to lose.
They're a pretty well-run organization under Peyton the last couple
Yeah.
of years after sort of being a disaster for a while.
Yeah,
And every year they've been a little better, and they've outkicked their coverage a little bit, probably because of coaching. And they have a quarterback. I don't think he's a superstar, but he's a quarterback, and he's on a rookie deal. I think they're going to be in the market for like running backs and tight ends and starting to put the flashy things on the house, that there's a foundation in place. They spent money on linemen early, and Miners is a really good player. Defense is good. I just don't know where their ceiling is.
I don't know. Could they take a step back next year after outkicking their coverage a little bit this year?
I would bet they're over.
What happened to Houston?
Oh, big time. I mean,
and you see that a lot with rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah. I see what you're saying with the rookie quarterback. People figure out a little bit, and the division's not easy.
You get a full offseason to, okay, here's what he does well, here's what he doesn't do well. Let's make him do that.
Mm-hmm. I would bet their Vegas over-under win total, though, is 8.5, 9, something like that.
Okay.
I don't think it's a real high ceiling or real
I don't think
low
they can
floor.
win 12 games.
No, I don't either. I'd be shocked if they're a 5-win team. I'd be shocked if they're a 5-loss team.
Yeah.
You know.
Somewhere in that middle. Kansas City.
But they're a playoff contender.
Yeah.
They could get more. They could be one of the 7.
Kansas City they're over the cap right now.
Theirs is a little weird because they need the Trey Smith to sign a deal and not be the franchise tag, because they're a little bit in limbo for this day or two.
Yeah. So
but they don't have a lot of spending power.
When people talk about they could be a team that trades for DK Metcalf. No, they can't.
Not really.
They can't do that.
Right.
You got Carson
or
Wentz.
signing Ronnie Stanley.
Right.
Right.
Carson Wentz, Kareem Hunt,
go,
Samaje Perine. Again, both guys played a lot for you. Marquise Brown, Mecole Hardman, DeAndre Hopkins, Juju Smith-Schuster, Justin Watson.
All the receivers.
The
Their receiver
entire
situation
receiving
is
room,
crazy.
basically.
Yeah. It's going to be Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice.
Yeah. And hope that Rashee Rice doesn't get suspended to start the season.
It sounds like Kelsey's coming back.
Yeah.
But it might have done them favors if he didn't, because that would have been like a $13 million savings.
DJ Humphries. They lost Joe Thuney.
Mm-hmm.
Charles Omenihu, which doesn't sound like a lot, but has been a good player for them.
So is Wharton, who's up to, and some of those guys, they play.
Josh Uche, Derek Nandi, Mike Pennell, I should say. Wharton, you mentioned. Marlon Tuipulotu.
Yeah.
Nick Bolton is a big one.
They're deep at linebacker, like the Steelers are all of a sudden, but
he's the
guy. He's going to make a lot of money too. Yeah.
And Justin Reed, the safety.
Mm-hmm.
No, there's
been
a
a lot
player
of
for them.
important pieces,
and they don't have any money.
They don't have any money, right? And they definitely need to work on the O-line. I mean, they got
to get a left tackle.
Yeah, and there has been some talk of Suamataia maybe going to guard. You know, maybe try to piece together the Tooney spot, but there's nothing at left tackle.
No,
then, if you're making those kind of moves.
Yeah, they can't go into next year thinking, okay, we're going to run it back with Suamataia, whatever, and hope that he's better.
No, right.
He was awful last year.
Terrible. Couldn't stay in the field at all. But they're a Super Bowl team. I mean, no one's crying for them. They'll be fine. They're going to be a playoff contender.
But they're not going to be as good as they were this year.
I would think not.
They're not going to have 2 losses next year.
Like, we'll get to the Chargers. The Chargers, to me, are a team that could be better. Well, then we'll get to them. But at least they might look at it like maybe the Chiefs are starting to show chinks in the armor, and they're at the end of their run where we're at the beginning of our run. You know, like maybe. But we've thought this about the Chiefs before, too.
Yeah.
Again, no one's crying for the Chiefs.
The Raiders. The Raiders have – where are they at on here? The Raiders have
a lot of money.
$80.8 million in cap space. But Gardner Minshew and Desmond Ridder, both free agents, gone. Amir Abdullah, Alexander Madison,
so what?
Gone. Terrence Marshall, gone. Harrison Bryant at tight end, gone. Andres Pete at offensive tackle, gone. Cody Whitehair at guard. Clavon Chason, Malcolm Kuntz.
None of those offensive players are losses, though.
Malcolm Kuntz is going to be a loss for them.
He was hurt a lot last year, but he was good.
He's a good player.
He's going to get paid pretty well as a number 2 pass rusher.
Yeah.
It won't be by them after the Crosby deal.
Adam Butler and John Jenkins on the defensive line. Divine Diablo and Robert Spillane. They're two starting inside.
Spillane's a green dot guy and makes a lot of plays.
And Diablo's a starting linebacker as well. Nate Hobbs and Darnay Holmes. Marcus Epps and Trayvon Moehrig.
Moehrig's a good player, too.
Yeah.
I mean, they're another team that doesn't have a ton of good players.
Right.
You know, I mean, there's been talk that they might trade Mayer. We don't know who their quarterback is. Could that be Rodgers, Wilson, Darnold?
I think they're the team that makes the pitch for Darnold.
I think Darnold ends up there,
which is going to eat up a bunch of that cap space.
I do think they're trending the right direction, though. A playoff team, it might be a stretch.
Not in that division.
I would think that's a stretch. I mean, I'd like to see who the quarterback is before you have that conversation.
And they have no home field advantage at all.
No. But
No.
like a Christian Wilkins comes back and Crosby's there. It's the first time, honestly, since the last 10 years of Al Davis's life that I think they have direction.
Yeah.
You know?
But I think their ceiling,
they're still digging out.
regardless of who they
hole.
get at quarterback, I think their ceiling's 8 wins.
Oh yeah. That's
They're not.
my optimism is
They're not a
not
playoff
be a
contender
horrible
next
team
year.
anymore. Right? Yeah. And I think Pete Carroll will squeak out a win or two, or that he shouldn't.
The Chargers are an interesting team. They're
really interesting.
$90.6 million in available cap space, but
They need everything though.
Taylor Heineke, Easton Stick, both backup quarterbacks. J.K. Dobbins, your lead running back.
The beauty is they don't need the expensive stuff.
DJ Chark, Josh Palmer, among some other wide receivers, but guys who've played a lot for you. Hayden Hurst at tight end, so you don't have a tight end. Center Bradley Bozeman.
Interior line's kind of a mess.
Yeah, guard Sam Mustipher. Khalil Mack, a free agent. So you already got rid of Joey Bosa. So
They're going to push hard to bring
both your
Mack
edges
back.
are free agents. Poona Ford, Morgan Fox, T.R. Tart on the interior of offense or defensive line. Denzel Perryman, Eli Apple, Christian Fulton, Asante Samuel at cornerback.
Starter, right.
Tony Jefferson and Marcus May at safety.
Yeah. I think you said interesting. I think they're super interesting because you hire Harbaugh and you're like, man, this is a cap disaster. So they decided to keep Bosa and Mack as opposed to Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. They knew they had to get rid of big ticket items. They had a lot of huge contracts, and they did nothing in free agency. They signed a blocking tight end. That's like the only thing they did. And then had a pretty good year. You know, I mean, all in all, I mean, they have a quarterback and did some good things. And then this year, it's like, well, now we have all the cap space for Harbaugh to go get his dudes. But there's so many holes. You know, like on paper, D tackle's a problem.
Like your defensive front is going to be a problem.
I like Tui up. I crush his name. The other edge guy that's been sitting behind those two, and he'll step up as one starter. But who's the other edge starter?
Is he ready to be the guy?
Right.
Like he was always the second guy.
He was the third, you know, and should have been a 2. But Bosa was always out, so he played a lot. The interior O-line looked like a strength, but they're talking about making Zion Johnson a center and going shopping for guards just because there's not many centers to go get. I could see like Najee landing there as their top back or something like that. Everyone mocks a receiver to him of some sort or a tight end. They got a lot of money, though.
They got a lot of money. They'll be a playoff contender.
Yeah.
So
will they be better than last year? I lean towards yes, but that's a lot of faith in Harbaugh and Herbert.
Yeah. So to look at it here as a whole, the Chargers, in terms of being a playoff contender in the AFC, yes.
Yeah.
The Raiders are a no.
Agreed.
The Chiefs are a yes.
Yeah. Denver's a yes.
The Broncos are a yes.
If we're just trying to get in the 7.
Yeah. Titans are no.
No.
Jaguars are no.
Mm-mm. And one of these no's will be a yes, and one of these yeses will get killed by injuries and be a
The Colts are maybe.
Below Denver, but
they don't have a quarterback.
Right. I mean, that's a tough one to project right now.
The Texans are a yes.
Yeah.
They probably win that division.
Yeah,
by default
they're kind of like the Bills, where they should be a distant, favorite in their division.
The Steelers, we didn't talk about them, are a yes.
Yeah.
The Browns are a no.
No. They think they're a yes, which is insane to me.
The Bengals are a yes with...
They're a yes. I mean, if the Colts are a yes, they're a yes. Right.
The Ravens are a yes.
Mm-hmm.
The Jets are a no.
No.
The Patriots are a no.
No.
The Dolphins are a no.
I could write a story where they end up as the 7th wild card team, but I don't like their build, and other things.
They still got to show me they can win a cold weather game.
Oh, I know.
They have no offensive line.
They need to win early.
Protecting a quarterback who is.
I hate their
had
build.
multiple concussions.
But if the only goal is, can you be a playoff contender? They could be a playoff. I mean, they could be an 8 or 9 win team.
Okay, and the Bills are yes.
Yeah.
So really, we came up with like 9 teams
fighting for 7 spots.
Mm-hmm. So when people talk about the Steelers, well, they're going to be a 6-win team. You got to take a look at the rest of the division and the conference.
Yeah.
And say, okay, are they better than these teams?
One of those 9 teams will get destroyed by injuries, and we'll feel bad for them. It'll be like the Niners last year.
Yeah.
Like if we did this with Niners a year ago, it'd be like, easily.
They were everybody's Super Bowl pick.
Right. No question.
Now they're in reset mode.
Right.
You know?
And we'd have laughed at the Washington. Of course, no, they had no chance.
But there's no quarterback
right
coming into this draft who I think is going to land in the AFC.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think Cam Ward ends up being a giant. And I don't know that he's in that kind of elevator.
If he lasts till 2, he might be a Brown, but I don't think that's enough to take the Browns to the playoffs, nor...
Nobody can take the Browns to the Super Bowl.
Right. And then even if the Titans take him at 1, I can't believe that he's good enough to take that team to the playoff team either.
Yeah. And I don't think Sam Darnold is that guy for any of these teams that are going to sign him.
I would say, could Tennessee... No. I mean, there's just not enough. I mean, there's too many things... And of course, some of these teams will hit on a 3rd-round receiver that is really, really good. Or,
the interesting rumor that's out there now is that the Raiders will trade for Geno Smith.
Okay.
And Darnold won't wind up in Seattle.
I didn't hear that, but that would kind of add up in terms of their timelines.
Yeah.
It's also the Raiders maybe getting ahead of themselves, too.
And they've done that before.
Right. I mean, I get the Carroll-Geno connection. Cool. I mean, that's fine. But I would draft one, too.
Yeah.
I mean, at least a Shuck or a Milrow or, somebody in day 2, right? I mean,
or they just wait it out and say, we're going to get one next year.
I wouldn't be shocked if the Ohio State dude ends up with his offensive coordinator.
That could happen, too.
In 3rd round or a round earlier than he should.
Yeah, that could happen. But,
yeah.
I mean, when you start looking at the conference as a whole, I mean, Buffalo's going to be in the playoffs. Baltimore's going to be in the playoffs. Kansas City's going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah,
and then
I really like Houston's chance too.
Houston. Okay, so there's 4.
Right.
Those other 3 spots,
right,
are wide open. And let's not forget, December 1st of last year, the Steelers were in first place in the AFC North before things fell apart.
Right.
Like they're not so far off that I think some people are looking at this and going, well, they have no chance.
I mean, clearly, becoming a playoff team. I don't know about that. Being a playoff team in the AFC might be easier than the NFC.
I think it is.
I think it is now. Representing the conference in the Super Bowl is harder.
That's a different.
It's definitely harder because Lamar exists and Allen and Mahomes. Right. And Burrow, but he's swimming to get in the playoffs.
Right. But you got to try.
Oh, yeah, you got to try.
You don't just say, oh, we have no chance.
Yeah, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I wrote a story today about what we talked about in terms of the Steelers having the most cap space and ability to go out and acquire people in free agency. And people in the comments wonder why I get
wound up,
frustrated over this. The first 8 comments on there, doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know.
They're not going to get any better. No, they're not going to get any better at all. They're not going to. They've got all this cap space, and they're not going to spend it. The problem that the Steelers have had every year is that they hadn't had the cap space because they've spent to the cap.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have the available cap space. So yes, they're going to be active in free agency.
Yeah, just let's talk in a week and see what your vision of the roster is, folks. It might be worse. It might be like, oh, they didn't get anything done. Who knows? I mean, I'm not sitting here with a crystal ball, but they've got a lot of cards in their hand right now.
Right. They're sitting at the table and they got a couple aces in their hand, and everything matches up. And
I mean, I shouldn't reference one tweet because everyone gets dumb tweets all the time. But I was out there getting coffee and I'm scrolling through Twitter, and I sent a tweet about the Steelers D line a couple hours ago, and someone writes back in all caps because they're mad and they want me to know, but they don't have a quarterback. I'm like, I didn't reference the quarterback. Here's a D-line suggestion with Jonathan Allen getting cut that I threw out there. That's It makes me crazy a little bit. Like I'm aware that they don't have a quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, I do this.
We do this for a living.
Thanks for the update. I mean, I know what their roster is right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that. They will. I bet they have somebody.
That's another thing. What quarterback would want to come here right now? What receiver would want to come here? Nobody was going to want to come here because they don't have a quarterback and they don't have a receiver. They don't have the receivers. So if you're a quarterback, you don't want to come because they don't have a receiver. If you're the wide receiver, you don't want to come because they don't have a quarterback. I guarantee you, folks, when September 1st rolls around next year, they will have 3 quarterbacks on their roster.
And the Rooney's
They'll
money
have 6 wide receivers on their roster.
The Rooney's money spends just as well as
every
other organization out there. Yeah,
people still sign with the Jaguars, knowing that they're going to get cut in 2 years.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So just tap the brakes a little bit.
I mean, I do get the argument. If I were Devontae Adams right now, sitting out there with the ability to sign with the team, I want to know who the quarterback is.
I get it. I want to know who the quarterback's going to be.
No question, right.
But
that's why it's going to be the first domino to drop.
Yeah, that's why this is all going to happen. And you can't make it happen. You're not going to go to Justin Fields and say, hey, Justin, here's $25 million a year. We want you to sign right now.
Mm-hmm. If he says no, you go somewhere else.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
maybe those things are happening right now. I mean,
if you're going to give an ultimatum on that kind of thing, you better be willing. And I've always said this. If I'm going to go to my boss, for example, and give him an ultimatum, either you do this for me or I'm leaving.
Mm-hmm.
And
you got to be able to walk.
He then doesn't do that.
Yeah.
I have to be willing to walk out the door.
Absolutely.
If you're going to give Justin Fields an ultimatum, you got to sign this contract by Sunday. And he says no, you got to be willing to move on.
Then you offer someone else.
Yeah.
Right. So that's how business works.
Yeah. Ultimatums sound all well and good, but it also could leave you standing there going, eh?
Yeah. And who knows? The deal might get done 5 minutes from now.
Could be. Could happen. Anyways, let's get to a break. He's Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. We'll be back with more right after this. And welcome back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and this is The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. And Matt, you referenced this a little bit earlier that the Washington Commanders getting rid of Jonathan Allen.
Yeah.
After trying to trade him, he's a 2-time Pro Bowl player.
He's the latest of he's on the block.
Yeah,
nobody's going to take him. So he's on the street.
He'll be 30 years old next season. Would you be interested in Jonathan Allen?
Yeah. The exact tweet I sent out, now that we're referencing it, is what do you guys think of signing Hargrave or Allen and releasing Ogunjobi? Just have him do that role, draft a nose. And you can still add another. You can still go 2 defensive linemen, as we often do I would have a lot of interest. And the reason, I think they're all similar. Hargrave, Ogunjobi, Allen, in terms of 3 techniques, their style of play. They're not quite Cam. They're not a nose. And I think those 2 would be upgrades.
Here's the thing.
Allen's my favorite of the 3.
They don't have to release Ogunjobi.
Or you could do both, right?
You could keep him.
Do both, right.
And he was a 40% player last year.
That's the least important part of the equation.
Yeah.
Of the tweet.
You can afford to keep him. You could even go to him, and he was your Walter Payton Man of the Year award finalist last year. Does great stuff there. Is a good player, not a great player. He could give you 20 snaps a game.
He's definitely not a has-to-go guy.
No. And they have the cap space to do something like that and still keep that and still draft another guy.
And I would look more like towards a nose.
Yeah.
I mean, we've brought up Hargrave several times. I think Allen needs to at least be addressed. I mean, maybe it's a 1-year deal, a 2-year deal. And I'm sure some people are out there like, this is the most expensive and oldest defense out there. You can't just keep adding to those things. I don't care. I want a good player.
We just talked about the window and what's out there.
Mm-hmm.
If your defense gives you the best chance to win,
I think that is your chance.
That's your best chance to win.
I want to lead the league in sacks.
As you said, you don't have a quarterback.
Right.
You don't have Joe Burrow. You don't have Lamar, and they're not walking through the door. You're not getting that guy in this draft. You're not getting that guy in free agency. Your best opportunity to win and win games is to put together the best damn defense you can put on the field.
Yeah. My number 1 goal of the offseason is lead the league in sacks.
Yeah.
I mean, you need to just beat up Burrow and make the fourth quarter questionable if he's
Nobody
even
wants
out
to
there.
play against you.
Right. And
the Steelers didn't win their first 2 Super Bowls. And I understand this was
Yeah, many moons ago, obviously.
But they won that on the backs of their defense, not because everybody remembers, if you're of a certain age, you remember, in the 78, 79, Bradshaw throwing the ball all over the place. Sure. That's the way it was at the end. Mm-hmm. The first 2 Super Bowls were won on the basis of the defense.
And I don't see Bradshaw walking through the door.
I don't see that.
Right.
Yeah.
You're right, exactly.
You can still win with defense. Trent Dilfer won a damn Super Bowl with a defense.
I'm doubling down on spending on defense. I would absolutely entertain, Ogunjobi aside, signing one of those 2 veterans, Hargrave or Allen, and signing a corner, and spending a first-round pick on Grant from Michigan.
Yeah.
And being awful to play against.
Right.
I mean, really awful to play against. And I would blitz 6, and I would leave those corners on islands, and if you get beat, so be it, but your quarterback's on his back. I mean, you should be the best pass-rushing team in the league.
Yeah.
And you can be. You're right. You're banging on the door.
Yeah.
You know?
That's again, if you do that, you have a chance to beat those teams.
Yeah.
As we just saw in the Super Bowl.
Balls and interceptions.
The Eagles didn't win the Super Bowl because of their offense.
I don't need Watt getting doubled and tripled every snap, you know? And I'm going to live and die by aggression on defense. And you may win a lot of games.
Yeah. The Eagles won the Super Bowl because of their defense.
Oh, absolutely. Right.
The Chiefs could do nothing in that game.
Right. And the Steelers aren't going to have Barkley, Smith, Brown, and Goddard. I mean, they're not.
Maybe you got Omari and Hampton running the ball, and you've added another wide receiver to the mix, and you can throw the ball.
And you give your offense 2 more short fields than you usually do because you're so nasty with sacks and tip balls and strip sacks and things like that. Because that's the thing that's close. It's real close. You got the hard part. You got the Watts and Haywards and the dudes that everyone hates playing against.
Right.
Just make it so they can be at their very best.
100%. I'm with you all the way on that. Let's get to a break. That's going to do it for hour number 1 of the drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. We'll be back with hour number 2 right after this. And we are back with hour number 2 of the drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. And, Matt, it's time to do a little mock draft here.
Mock it up? All right.
And somebody asked us on the message board on YouTube, check it out there, if we could do a stick and pick mock draft. Sure, we can.
Yeah. Let's do it.
So we're using Pro Football Focus mock draft for today. And
usual parameters, Fields, a corner, and a receiver on board.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Top players available, Kenneth Grant.
It's going to be hard to say no to that.
Josh Simmons, Kelvin Banks, the 2 offensive tackles. Derek Harmon, Darius Alexander, Walter Nolan, all available at defensive line. Matthew Golden, Omari and Hampton, Colston Loveland, Jalen Walker, Gray Zabel. I think you just take Kenneth Grant.
I do too. We're both. I think we flip-flopped over the years or over the weeks of Grant versus Nolan. I'm taking Grant. I'm leaning that way, and just for Steeler needs and nose and size and all that. Yeah.
All right, Kenneth Grant it is.
Okie doke.
Now, there's going to be, unfortunately, nose tackles later in the draft that we're also going to like.
That's the problem with that is West is going to be sitting there in the 4th round and be like, I would have grabbed him. But okay.
Now we're up at 53. They're saying Shedeur Sanders is still going to be available. That's not going to happen.
Chance.
No.
I don't even think he'll be there at 21.
Braden Swinson, the edge rusher out of LSU. Cam Scatabo, running back out of Arizona State. Carson Swessinger, linebacker, UCLA. Quinshawn Junkins.
Okay.
Running back.
I prefer Junkins to Scatabo.
Jack Sawyer, edge rusher out of Ohio State. Elijah Araujo, tight end from Miami. Darian Porter, cornerback out of Iowa State.
He's interesting.
Jared Ivey, the edge rusher from Mississippi. Ariante Ursary, tackle out of Minnesota. Omar Norman Lott, defensive lineman out of Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Dylan Sampson, Caleb Johnson still there. I think you just take Junkins.
Junkins, right?
Yeah. Quinshawn
totally
Junkins. Boom.
Yeah.
Kenneth Grant, Quinshawn Junkins.
Give Junkins the ball a lot.
Let them fight it out over the whole Ohio State thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Then we'll take a Michigan guy, then we'll take an Ohio State guy.
We're up at 85. DJ Giddens, running back out of K-State's available.
Just did the running back thing. Yeah.
I like him, though.
Yeah, I do, too.
Marcus Mbao, offensive tackle out of Purdue. Jonas Ivanea, offensive tackle out of Arizona. Wyatt Millam, offensive tackle out of West Virginia. I think he's going to be a guard, though.
I think all those guys are going to be guards.
Yeah. Tate Ratledge.
Can I ask you a Millam question real quick?
Yeah.
Was he a freebie because he lives
Yes.
close? Okay.
Yeah.
I assume so because he's a WVU guy, and I just can't imagine him being their first or second round pick, but I don't dislike him.
Tate Ratledge, the guard out of Georgia. Savion Williams, wide receiver out of TCU. Latham Ransom, defensive back out of Ohio State. Jeffrey Bassa, linebacker out of Oregon. Devin Neal, running back out of Kansas. Charles Grant, the offensive tackle out of William & Mary. Jalen Milroe.
I don't love what's there.
I don't either. I want to look at the wide receiver group here.
Yeah, say receivers. What's
Savion Williams, Tez Johnson. There's like
Not
exact
into-
opposites.
yeah.
Trey Harris, Isaiah Bond, Torrey Horton, Pat Bryant, Kobe Hudson, Kyle Williams, Isaac Tesla.
Trey Harrison, my favorite. I like Tesla, but that's a little early for me.
I'm not as big on Trey Harris as you are.
I don't love him.
He's not a route runner. I don't
no,
think
he's kind of a weird.
I
style.
don't think he's a Steeler fit. They like the route runners. You've already got the downfield guy with Pickens.
Mm-hmm. I don't like any of those receivers though.
I mean, I like Kyle Williams the best. Tesla is I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the best defensive back available? And we've gone running back nose.
Right.
Is there a killer slot or even a developmental corner?
You're looking at Dorian Strong out of Virginia Tech, Jacob Parrish out of K-State,
I like both those players.
Kobe Bryant, Mello Dotson, both out of Kansas, Noel Williams out of Cal, Zy Alexander.
I'd probably go Parrish.
I just want to look and see. We didn't. Do you go quarterback here?
I'd consider it. I almost threw Milroe out there.
Yeah, Milroe, Howard, Riley Leonard, Jackson Dart. I don't think Dart's going to be there.
Yeah, Dart and Shuck and
Would
Sanders
this
aren't
be where you take Shuck at in the third round?
You know my answer to that. I mean, yes.
It's pick 85.
Well, that's not crazy.
That is more realistic.
Then fourth round or fifth round.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if he wasn't there? Would you consider Milroe at this spot if you had Fields? I still don't know if he can complete passes.
That's the problem.
Yeah, it's a big
I think
problem.
if you're going to throw the ball down the field, yes, he can complete the pass. Like
Right.
25 yards down the field, yeah, okay.
He is a
Can he
rocket
complete
ship as a runner.
5-yard passes? No.
No, not well.
And then which other quarterback would you take there?
I mean, Shuck would be my pick, of course.
Yeah, but I'm saying of the other group, if it's not Milroe,
Who else did you say? Howard?
Howard is there, Riley Leonard is there, Dylan Gabriel is there, Quinn Ewers, Kyle McCord.
McCord's nothing like Fields.
Nothing
I think
like
he's
Fields.
a better prospect than Ewers and Leonard and those guys. I don't know. I think I'd take the corner. Or Shuck or man. That's
To be fair, if you're going to take Shuck, you got to take him now.
agreed. Up to you. We can pretend like he's not there. I don't have any problem with that at all. But we're not taking him in later.
Well, here's the problem. So
I don't want to take him every draft we ever do, too.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but Dart's not going to be there,
No.
and he's still available at this point.
Right.
Shuck is still available, and maybe that is or is not. Milroe is still like.
Mm-hmm.
If you take those, if those three guys are taken, three other guys who were taken in this draft
We might
are
have been
available.
Like, well, there's a receiver we liked, and we were
that might have
taking
been the
him.
receiver.
I
Yeah.
get it. Right. Milroe's going to be there, I think. I mean, Dart, I think, has no chance to be there. I think Shuck has a slight chance to be there.
Yeah.
When it's all said and done. Do you just want to avoid quarterback and avoid that whole conversation?
Well, then you're going to end up taking Shuck in the 7th round.
No,
which-
but it's
yeah.
not allowed.
I think if you're going to take a quarterback,
A third round is logical.
3rd round is the most.
Okay.
3rd, 4th round is where you're going to do it.
Okay. Well, let's do it now. Call it Shuck, but I mean, it could be or quarterback to be named or mystery quarterback.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
All right, Shuck is the pick.
Okay.
And we'll see what is available then at 122.
Mm-hmm.
So Gunnar Helm, the tight end out of Texas,
Mm-hmm.
Mello Dotson, the cornerback out of Kansas, Riley Leonard, J.J. Pegas, who they brought in for a visit this week.
If you hadn't taken Grant, I'd be. We said this when we took Grant.
Yeah.
You know, the 4th round is
It
going to be
takes
a
you,
nose tackle.
takes you out of
right?
that market. And he's, again, a 6'2", 325 pounds. He is a nose tackle. Now,
Yeah, and he can
maybe
move.
Grant is a guy that you can kick out the end.
He made me better there.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair. I mean, maybe we could do that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the beauty of Grant.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a terrible way of thinking.
Play him at both spots. And
Right.
where's he stick? You
Is
just
it-
want to get more bodies on your defensive line.
And just like Benton can be a nose, too. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that's the only thing they can do.
Right, yeah. Jaden Blue, the running back out of Texas. Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon, the offensive tackle out of Florida. Willie Lampkin, the guard out of North Carolina. Dylan Gabriel, still there. Ahmad Hassan, edge rusher out of Boise State. Jack Kaiser, linebacker out of Notre Dame. Damian Martinez, the running back out of Miami. Torrey Horton, wide receiver out of Colorado State. Antoine Powell-Ryland, edge rusher out of Virginia. Zay Alexander, cornerback out of LSU. Riley Mills still there. Savion Jones.
What do you think of Zay Alexander or Pegas? Or Horton, the Colorado State receiver? None of them are my favorites. Pegas is my favorite if we hadn't had a nose, but I don't hate the idea of just adding two big bodies.
Kyle Williams is still there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They have him ranked lower than I think he should be.
Yeah. I don't adore him, but he's interesting.
Runs good routes. He's bigger than I think than people think. He's 6'1", 186.
Okay. Yeah. He's a good player. I mean, I think he's a third-round pick.
This is the fourth round.
Yeah, right. I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We added another route-running receiver.
Yeah. I mean, Deontay Johnson's kind of a comp, folks.
Yeah.
You know.
Without maybe some of the stuff.
Well, yeah.
163. All right. Quinn Ewers. We don't need
took
that.
a quarterback, yeah.
Jake Bringenstool, tight end out of Clemson. Kyle McCord's still there. Kobe King, the linebacker out of Penn State. Jackson Hawes, the blocking tight end out of Georgia Tech.
I'm a fan, but that seems early for a blocking tight end.
Seth McLaughlin, center out of Ohio State. Nick Nash, the wide receiver out of San Jose State. Donald Fortune, the cornerback out of South Carolina. Connor Colby, guard out of Iowa. Thomas Fedone, tight end out of Nebraska. Cody Simon, linebacker from Ohio State. Kyle McGonigal, running back out of Rutgers. Logan Brown, tackle out of Kansas.
I like Logan Brown.
Cody Lindenberg, linebacker out of Minnesota. Denzel Burke, cornerback out of Ohio State. Danny Stutzman, linebacker from Oklahoma. Marcus Yarns, running back out of Delaware. Robert Longerbeam, cornerback out of Rutgers. Emory Jones is still there as well.
Interesting player. I think he's more of an edge for the Steelers. He's kind of an odd. He plays edge, but he's big.
He's the tackle from LSU.
Oh, okay. I was thinking
the
the other.
Yeah.
I was thinking Swinson's running mate. I'm an Emory Jones fan. Brown from Kansas, the other tackle, was a pure tackle. Jones might end up being a guard, but
that's fine.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I like both those dudes. I would like to draft a corner, though.
Or at least a safety that can...
a D-back.
Yeah.
No, none of them stood out to me, though.
Let's take the tackle.
I don't say you can't... is it ever bad to take a tackle?
Never look a gift tackle in the mouth.
Yeah. Who do you like of the two?
You like Brown or you like...
I think Brown's probably a right tackle only, but he's 6'6" with long arms and a tackle.
Yeah.
Jones is probably the better football player right now, but tackles don't grow on trees. You can convince me of either. I'd probably pick Brown.
Okay, Logan Brown it is. We haven't taken him.
I'm a fan.
Okay, we got picks now at 225, and then our last pick. 225, the top players available. Brady Cook, quarterback out of Missouri. Max Brosner, quarterback out of Minnesota. Oronde Gadsden, the second, tight end out of Syracuse. Graham Mertz, quarterback out of Florida. Craig Goodson, safety out of Cal. Malachi Moore, safety out of Alabama. Fadil Diggs, edge rusher out of Syracuse. Samuel Brown, wide receiver out of Miami. Cameron Jackson, defensive lineman out of Florida. His nose.
Mm-hmm.
Hunter Wohler, the safety out of Wisconsin. John Quavius Marks is there.
Any of those safeties do anything for you?
Ty Robinson still there. I think people are sleeping on Ty Robinson all day long.
Yeah, huge.
But I just want to check on Woodson here. I haven't done a lot of work on him yet, but what's he? 6', 210.
Safety with slot capabilities.
He's played a lot of slot in his career.
Special team, fight for a slot job, fourth safety. I would trade this pick for that type of player all day long.
Yeah. So Craig Woodson, 202, 209, and 146 snaps in the slot in his 3 seasons at Cal.
Okay, it's a good jumping off point.
Yeah, he's also played deep safety. He's also played in the box, but
okay, I'm fine with that profile.
Yeah,
I don't know much.
And he's
about
got the size.
Yeah. Do it.
All right, Greg Woodson. It is.
Did they give us the extra 7th round pick that we don't really have?
I already traded it away.
Okay, for nothing.
Yeah. Okay, so we're up here with our final pick, and Graham Mertz, quarterback out of Florida, Jaquindon Jackson, running back out of Arkansas, Montrell Johnson Jr., running back out of Florida, Josh Gray, the guard out of Oregon State, Dante Trader, safety out of Maryland, Jordan Hancock, safety out of Ohio State, Malachi Matevo, tight end out of UCLA. None of this is really standing out to me.
No. I liked what I saw from the Oregon State
here's a guy, and Max Starks is high on this guy. Tommy Hill, cornerback out of Nebraska.
I'm shocked he's still there. I
think
size, he's more of a 4th or 5th round guy. Oh, yeah, sign me up for that.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
developmental cornerback.
Mm-hmm. He's kind of like the Trice pick there.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Boom.
He's got size. And
done.
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay, so we
stuck and picked. Puck.
Yeah, stuck and picked. They just obviously didn't like our Tyler Schuff. They said we should have taken Milrow. So we ended up with Kenneth Grant in the 1st round, Quinshawn Junkins in the 2nd round at 53. 85 was Shuck. Mm-hmm. Kyle Williams in round 4. Logan Brown in round 5. And our 2 7th-round picks, we took safety Craig Woodson out of California and Tommy Hill, the cornerback out of Nebraska.
I like the last 2 picks, just in terms of special teams help and defensive backs that could be useful sooner than later. It was okay overall. I didn't think we got any massive steals or anything like that.
I think if you came out of this with Grant and Judkins as your first 2 picks, these guys are
pretty strong.
They're going to play a lot.
Yeah, and maybe for a long time, Grant.
And you got a developmental quarterback that,
mm-hmm.
and I think Williams will play.
Does he have any special team? I know he's not going to run that on kickoffs or punts. Could he be a punt returner, or is he just a receiver?
That I don't know.
I mean,
you don't need a punt returner.
You don't.
Austin's,
I know. I'm just trying.
Calvin Austin's really pretty good at that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just thinking about his path to getting a hat on game day.
Could he return kicks for you? I don't know.
Probably. I mean, he's 185 probably, but that's all right. I mean, that's not why you drafted him. He's a route runner,
right? And then Logan Brown might end up being your swing guy at tackle. Who knows?
Or tackle for another day.
Yeah.
I do think they're going to have to add a tackle at some point. Maybe not in the draft, but, somebody that's not on the roster.
Yeah.
I mean, to ask you, is Dylan Cook a Steeler? I remember he got cut, and then I couldn't remember if he ended up back on the practice squad. I don't know what his status is.
I want to say he is a free agent, but let me look here.
I can't remember what happened.
No, he's still with the team.
Okay, he is under contract.
Yeah.
So he'll be in Latrobe.
Yeah.
Good. I thought he was a borderline dude anyway. Yeah. Good.
Okay. So that's our latest mock drafter. We stuck and picked and ended up with Kenneth Grant, Quinshawn Junkins.
Yeah, it's a good start.
I think a lot of Steeler fans would probably be happy with that.
I would think so.
They wouldn't like it that they didn't get a wide receiver, but we signed one in free agency, folks.
Right.
That's what
free agency is going to be fun.
Yeah. Believe it or not.
Yep. I'm geared up.
Anyways, let's get to a break. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. When we come back, we're going to go through a little process here of signing some free agents and what those contracts might look like. I found a new little tool.
Oh, really?
Playing around on the internet last night, so we'll do that when we return right after this. And welcome back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. This is The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. And, of course, you can hear this show and all the other shows that we have on the
whole network,
the whole network here. And these are just starting to fire up here again. But you can hear us every Monday through Friday, this particular show, from 4 to 6 p.m. every day. And we'll be on all next week bringing you.
It's going to be hot and heavy next week, yeah.
It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, I bet a lot happens over the weekend, too.
I would guess so.
Yeah.
You can also download the Steelers mobile app and get the show there, or you can watch our YouTube channel show. And Tyler does a good job of getting that up pretty quickly every night. So go on there and leave your comments. Tell me what an idiot I am.
Sure.
Tell Matt how handsome he is, all that good stuff.
All lies and more lies. Right? Yeah.
Anyway, so I found on
Spread the word while you're at it, too. Hit that like button, too.
Hit the like button. We like that. Yeah. It creates more.
Yeah, yeah.
It drives me crazy that when I go to YouTube and I see some of the rumor mongers out there.
Yeah.
And their shows are getting more hits than ours.
Yeah, it's a little crazy.
Like just because Steelers going to sign this quarterback. No, they're not.
We should do one show like April Fool's Day. We should just make stuff up.
That's what these things do. They make stuff
That's a make stuff up show.
It's what they do. It's what they're all about. It's all about getting the clicks, and you all fall for it every time. You're not going to get any of that here.
We should do it every April 1st, and then at the end of the episode, April Fool's, nothing we said was true. We just made it all up.
Yeah.
And we'd get so much ratings.
So many hits. Yeah, so many hits. But that's not what we're about. We're about bringing you knowledge and realism.
A little bit of logic.
Some logic to things. Yeah. Speaking of which, Pro Football Network, Matt, has a little thing on their website that allows you to be the off-season manager.
Good. Okay. That's interesting.
So I started this earlier in the day because it does take some time to get through everything.
Oh, okay.
You select your team, you cut players, restructure contracts.
Okay.
Which I took care of that part of this deal.
Okay. So
for the Steelers at this point.
Trimmed a little more
Cut
fat.
Preston Smith, restructured Holcomb.
Oh, okay. So that stuff hadn't happened yet.
I've taken care of all that stuff. They hadn't done that they haven't updated that part of it yet.
Okay.
So now I'm to the point where re-sign and tag players. We have $63.375 million in available cap space, which is pretty damn close to what they have.
It is. But like Cordero Patterson's still on the roster.
Yeah.
And a couple guys like that. I mean, that may or may not be. Okay.
So the guys that we have who are available for transition, franchise, re-sign, all that stuff, looking at Aaron Shamplin, no. Ben Skoranek.
Yeah.
I would consider re-signing Ben Skoranek.
There's 3 that I'd like to talk to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I can offer Ben Skoranek a contract here. And the money per year, we're not offering him a 3-year deal.
No, I would start with a 1-year league minimum and see if he says yes.
Let's go 1 year.
Maybe slightly above. Or even a 2-year slightly above.
Let's make it 1.5.
Okay. And
we'll give him a little bit of a.
Yeah, he can have some upfront money.
He gets a little signing bonus there, 15% signing bonus. So, that's $150,000. Kind of give or take. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to offer that to him. We'll see if he takes it. He accepted it.
Yeah.
So now we have Ben Skoranek under contract.
Good.
Brandon Johnson, No. C.J. Henderson, Calvin Anderson, the offensive tackle.
No.
He played some last year.
I'm not saying he stinks. I'm just saying,
okay.
I don't want a roster. Not that they have to make the team, but
yeah. I mean, if you sign guys like that, they're easily cuttable.
They are. I'd go a little bigger game hunting than that at the tackle position.
Cameron Sutton, no. Deshaun Jameson, I haven't even heard of him. I don't know where he comes. DeMonte KZ.
No.
I'm done there. Dan Moore, no.
Some of these guys I might call after the draft.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Devin Harper, Dominic Davis, Dante Jackson. No. Doug Nessler, Dylan Cook. They have Dylan Cook on here.
I'd give him a 1-year league minimum deal.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna give him the same deal I gave Skoranek.
Okay.
1 year, 1.5.
I'd love for him to be the 4th tackle, but if he's the 3rd, at least you have somebody, And he's been with the team.
He accepted that. There you go.
He should, yeah.
Landon Roberts.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to offer Landon Roberts a 2-year deal.
I like it, and that's what I was going to recommend.
Money per year, I'm going to say.
And folks, listen to yesterday. If you're like, well, they signed Holcomb, there's no way they're going to
doesn't matter.
Roberts. It shouldn't make a difference.
Doesn't make a difference now. I'm going to get 2.5 per year.
That's a little more than he's making now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm going to go 20% guaranteed in that. Yeah.
Yeah. You should say yes.
He didn't accept that. Okay, I'm going to try again here.
Give him a little more.
I'll bump it to, let's say 2.7. 2.7.
5.5 over 2, something like that.
Yeah, 2 years, and we'll go, again, 20% guaranteed. Did not accept that. Landon, why you doing me like this?
Maybe he wants, give him more up front.
I'm going to go, we could do that. I mean, that's not.
Yeah.
So it's, let's say 270, 2.2, or 2.2750. And
give him a third of it up front.
2 years and 30%. Didn't take that. Landon,
Jeez,
I want to get you signed here. Come on, you're being too picky here.
I don't know. You go to $3 million a year, and if not, then we got to go somewhere else.
We can 2 years, $3 million, and it wouldn't be that much this year.
True.
But if I go $3 million a year, he's only getting 15% guaranteed.
Fine.
He didn't take it.
All right.
Okay.
Well, we don't have a Landon Roberts.
Evan Hall, Isaiah Loudermilk,
Nope.
James Daniels, no. James Pierre.
After signing Skoranek, I don't know that that's a must. But if he's hovering around in 2 months,
Yeah, much like it happened this year.
yeah.
Jalen Warren, he's gonna get the transition tag.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Do we
gonna
have
be
to do that on here? I don't know.
yeah,
how
that's
works.
gonna be 1 year at like 3.
Whatever the second round tender is. I don't know what that is.
I don't even think they go second round tender. I think they go the low tender. It's
Do you?
like 3.2.
Okay. Does he have to accept, or you just slap it on him as a response?
And it's fully. I think it's fully guaranteed. Well, he doesn't want to do that. But
It's not up to him.
It's not up to you.
If
It's
you're restricted. Right.
yeah. That's where this thing kind of gets a little wonky here.
Mhm.
But it's. I mean, I went fully guaranteed on that. You're driving me nuts here, Jalen. Come on.
I say restricted when you just put the tab on him and he doesn't have any say in it.
Yeah. It should. They can't.
You can't like force it.
I'm not seeing anything here to do the transition or the.
We could just pretend like he's on the team and
Well,
set,
I want
$2
the-
or $3 million
I
aside.
want the contract account,
Yeah.
so we know exactly what we're looking at here. Where you at, Jalen? I'm just going to make this happen somehow.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say 2 years.
So you give him a deal you can't refuse just so he's on the team.
Right. That's all.
I could see where a new system like this wouldn't have the restricted stuff available. But folks, he's going to be a Steeler.
He's going to be a Steeler next year.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Give me the re-sign. What are you doing?
He's not the only restricted free agent in the league.
Right. I don't understand that part of it.
Give him 1 year, $5 million or something goofy that he'd definitely say yes to.
Yeah, we'll give him the
Give him more than he should, just so.
the high tender. He didn't accept that. Jalen's playing hardball here. Come on. This is bad radio, Jalen. Come on.
Here we go. Say yes, dude.
All right, we're just going to move on. Jalen Warren's on the team.
He's a Steeler.
Justin Fields.
Yeah.
All right. What's the contract look like?
You want to come back to this one last?
We can't.
Okay, okay. 2 years, 45.
It's way more than what people are talking about.
Oh, you think?
I'm going to say 2 years, 40 total, or 20 per year.
Give him a nice bonus.
Make sure I get the right number of zeros in there.
Yeah,
and a signing bonus that's 40% of that.
Fair.
He took it.
Okay.
All right, so he's
right.
on the Kyle Allen.
No, not yet.
Max Sharping, no. Mike Williams.
Yeah, but it'd be a contract.
We can re-sign some of these guys after once free agency hits
he's
too.
More that style to me.
Najee Harris, no. Nate Herbig.
Yes.
All right.
Him and Roberts are the guys I am most interested.
Let's say.
Well, not besides Fields.
Let's say $2 million. We don't want to lowball him.
It's about what he made last year, right?
2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll guarantee 20% of that. He accepted it.
Okay, cool.
All right. Well, I don't know why he would accept that. Jalen wouldn't, but man. Ryan McCullum.
Yeah.
I think he's an exclusive rights.
I'd say I'm almost certain you don't have to deal with him, though.
Yeah.
You can get him at under league minimum, which could be goofy on here if they wouldn't let you do Warren.
Yeah,
they're
not
going to let McCollum.
That's
do it
not.
correctly.
That's a fly in the ointment.
No, so there's no way they can handle an exclusive right free agent if they can't do restricted. But he's another one we could say is on the team. He's not guaranteed a roster spot, but I don't think he's bad.
No, you need a backup center.
And Herbig would be that guy too.
Right. All right, I'm gonna do that. All right, we got him on the team.
Okay.
Skylar Thompson, he's already on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Matakevich, Van Jefferson, no. All right, we're going to hit continue.
Okay. Now we can go shopping? Is that how that works?
Or do you want to take another run at Yeah, now we just go shopping. All right.
Okay.
Continue. All right, so now we're into actual free agency.
Can we do this by position, or how does that work?
Yeah, we can do that.
Where do you want to start? You want to start at corner?
Let's
You want to
go,
start at
let's
receiver?
go get a wide receiver first.
Okay. Backup quarterback?
Chris Godwin, Devontae Adams, Darius Slayton, Amari Cooper, DeAndre Hopkins, Alan Lazard, Marquise Brown, Tyler Lockett, Brandon Cooks.
You want to start with Adams?
I don't think we can get Adams.
I don't either.
I want to start with Slayton.
Fair.
I think we can get that, make that happen. But what kind of contract are you looking at here? I'm thinking like 16 per year.
I was going to say 13, but I bet it's going to be more than I think. What if you offered him a 2-year 25 just to break the ice?
I don't want to tick him off.
You ticked off Atlanta Roberts.
Apparently.
Already. Right.
Signing bonus. I'm gonna go 30% on the signing bonus.
Yeah. He's going to be on the team for
He
both
did
years.
not take that.
Might have to bump it up noticeably. How about 30 over 2? He's the type of guy who's going to get more than a 1-year deal.
Yeah. I'm going to go again 25% guaranteed. He accepted that. So 2
Okay,
years,
so we got
$15
Slayton.
million.
All right.
Or
So right now our receiving core is Skoranek, Slayton, Pickens, Wilson,
Austin.
I can go into the draft with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've taken care of that. We don't need a tight end. I don't want to look at the running backs.
I'm drafting.
Now we're going to look at cornerback.
Corner and quarterback are spots I would at least be.
I
I don't think I want a rookie back up to Fields.
Darius Slay. There was some confusion about that on the message board today. Somebody thought we were talking about the Steelers signing Darius Slay, not Darius Slayton.
Oh, okay. It would make me happy to sign both just for my fun.
You would like that.
He's too old.
I'm not interested.
No,
34-year-old Darius Slay. No.
Either.
Carlton Davis, Shavarius Ward, Asante Samuel Jr., Rezel Douglas, Dante Jackson, Elijah Molden, Shaq Griffin, Jeff Okuda, Stephon Gilmore, Christian Fulton, Ronald Darby, Emmanuel Mosley. Looks like
Where's DJ Reed and Murphy? And
looks like their teams re-signed them.
Oh, okay. So there's like a hypothetical world.
Right, yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
In this little world. So what are we looking at here?
I'd look at Ward. I'd look at Davis.
I think Ward would be my target here.
Okay.
So let's go.
16 per?
Let's go look at Charvarius Ward. We want to go 3 years with this or 2?
2.
Okay. 2 years.
I mean, I could be convinced of 3 if it's a sticking point, but I mean, he's 28 or 29.
Yeah.
Year 32 doesn't sound super attractive to me.
I'm offering 2 years, $32 million.
With a nice chunk.
25% guaranteed.
Easily.
That's an $8 million signing bonus.
Yeah. I bet he says no to that.
He offered. He took it.
Okay.
All right.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
I don't think that's crazy.
No. So we've added Darius Slayton. We've added Charvarius Ward.
Mm-hmm. And we kept 5 or 6 of our own or something like that, too.
And at this point, we have $6.1 million in cap space remaining.
Okay. You want to get a backup quarterback?
We can hit that.
You want to look at D lineman?
Can we afford a defensive lineman?
Probably not.
With the way these are structured, like.
Can you go back and cut guys or anything like that?
Not at this point, no.
Okay.
Yeah. You're not going to get Milton Williams.
Not at $6 million a year.
You're not going to get anybody that.
I'd rather go to the draft.
Yeah.
Frankly, if they're going to sign a defensive lineman, it's a go big or go home thing to me. It's Milton Williams. It's Allen. It's Hargrave. I mean, it's someone that's a difference maker and draft one.
Yeah.
I mean, like I'm not just signing
another
Lowry.
And you're also going to structure these contracts. So the first years of these long-term, like
right. There's some flies in the ointment here with this whole process. Right.
I mean, we could
better than this.
I could have made the signing bonus a little bit more, and we would have had more cash available to make that work.
So, truthfully, this is a bare minimum exercise.
But it gives you an idea.
That gives you a great idea.
Yeah. So I don't think we can sign a defensive lineman.
That's not
probably not going to get anybody that's
right.
For what I mean, we'd have to do something.
Oh yeah, we'd have to cut guys or restructure contracts and all that good stuff.
Yeah. But we just added the cornerback, we added the wide receiver, and our quarterback.
It's a pretty good way to get in, start the draft.
Yeah.
And he's pretty solid. I mean, again.
I do want to take another look here at Jaylen Warren. I want to make him another offer.
Okay. You done with Atlanta Roberts? He's mad at you anyway.
We'll see. Yeah, he probably is now at this point. I'll go Jaylen. We'll give you a 3-year, $6 million per year with 50% guarantee just to get you on. And he rejected that.
That makes sense.
Jalen, you're not being realistic.
Get a new agent.
Get a new agent because that guy is doing you dirty.
What about a backup quarterback, though?
Okay, you want to look at that group. You're looking at Russell Wilson. That's not going to happen. No. Sam Darnold, Gardner Minshew, Mac Jones, Marcus Mariota, Cooper Rush, Mason Rudolph.
Let's have a Marcus Mariota conversation.
Oh, God, no.
I think he's so bad.
No. I don't even want to talk about it.
But the Arthur Smith connection.
I don't care.
Somebody has to be the backup.
Arthur knows he's bad. He benched him.
Yeah. And Ritter's out there, too, by the way.
I don't care about him.
He stinks, too.
Yeah. Case Keenum, Easton Stick, Jacoby Brissett, Zach Wilson, Jared Stidham, Anthony Brown, Jeff Driscoll, Josh Dobbs.
My two favorites.
Nathan Peterman, Teddy Bridgewater, Trevor Siemian, Brett Rippon, Daniel Jones, Josh Johnson, Kyle Allen, Kyle Trask, Logan Woodside, Mike White.
If the parameters are we're going to have a running quarterback, like Mac Jones would be great, but he doesn't fit at all. You know, like if there's a lot of teams where if I was the Bengals, Mac Jones could be my quarterback and fine, give him $3 million a year or whatever. There's only 4 names I came up with, and I don't love any of them. Mariota and Ritter, yuck and yuck, but at least they're system familiar and have played. Josh Dobbs, mentor. He's not as good a runner as you think.
No.
And Daniel Jones, but he's...
Well, Tyler Huntley is there as well.
I mean, we know this is not going to be wonderful.
This is what you're looking at.
Right. I mean, exactly.
That's why you have to draft him.
I mean, frankly, if they sign Fields, I'd love to see him get Daniel Jones too, but I don't think that's going to happen because then it becomes a competition.
Yeah.
And, that's not what they're looking to do here. I don't know who that answer is. I was looking at this the other day. That's why I mentioned Mariota and Ritter, and I don't think they're good.
No, I'd rather have Kyle Allen.
I mean, he'd be cheaper.
He'd be cheaper. He knows the offense.
Yeah. I mean, he can't run the same stuff with them, but...
He's not a non-athlete.
Yeah, but I'm not...
He's not Fields' athlete.
Right, yeah.
But that's what you're stuck with.
I know.
Because I'm not interested in I'm just not interested in Marcus Mariota. I'm not.
100% agree. I mean, I've had very little good to say about him in 5 years. But
I'm not a big Tyler Huntley fan, but I'd be more interested in him than I would be those guys.
At least you'd run the same offense.
He won some games for the Dolphins last year.
Yeah. Okay, he could be on the list. Dobbs?
I'm just looking at the rest of this.
Oh, it's horrible.
It's terrible.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were throwing these names at me, I'd make the same face as you are. I mean, it's terrible.
Yeah, it's just not pretty.
Maybe someone will get cut we don't know about. Everyone's out there going, Joe Milton. Go get Joe Milton.
Yeah.
Right.
Yuck.
Right. It's really yucky.
It's just a bunch of yuck. But you got to have a backup quarterback.
You have to have a backup quarterback.
I'm going to make Kyle Allen an offer. And
Minimum.
It's going to be a 1-year deal.
And I guess you could cut him if you draft someone that you fall in love with.
1.5. He took it.
He should. He's throwing a party tonight.
There you go. So we're all done then. That's our free agency.
Walking into the draft.
And again, they're going to build these things out that they have more money available.
Yeah. Again, this is bare bones.
But some of the deals signed, Josh Sweat got $14.4 per year over 4 years.
What'd the corners get? Murphy and Reed.
So I'm looking down through.
Okay.
Carlton Davis got 4 years, 14.3 from Atlanta. Stephon Gilmore got 1 at 4.5 from Atlanta.
I could see someone giving him $4 or $5 million a year for 1 year.
Dante Jackson got 2 years at 6.5 from Buffalo.
Helps the Steeler equation.
Yeah, right. Rasul Douglas got 4 years, 9.1 from Carolina.
Yeah. I wouldn't rule him out for the Steelers. We kind of brushed him off yesterday. He's okay. He's not my favorite.
Yeah.
But.
Shaq Griffin got 1 year, 4.6 from Carolina. Let's see here. Cornerbacks. A.J. Woods got 2 years, 1.3 as a minimum.
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah.
Murphy and Reed are the two I'd be interested in.
Yeah, I'm looking here. Ronald Darby got 1 year, $3 million. It's a lot of signings. Wow.
Mm-hmm. But we got Ward at like 16, right?
Desmond King got 2 years, 1.4. That's a minimum deal. Lamar, we don't need that one. Elijah Molden got 3 years, $5 million from Houston.
Okay, yeah. Samuel's another one I'd have interest in what he got. He's not a real tackler, though.
Trey Flowers, 1 year minimum. Jeff Okudah got 1 year at $5.3 million from the Chargers.
Yeah, someone could still roll the dice on him.
And maybe they're not signed yet. I don't know.
Okay.
I guess I could have sorted just by position, maybe. But I'm almost through this all here. We're into Minnesota. And Adoree Jackson got 1 year, 1.3.
None of those 1 year deal corners interest me really.
No,
unless things were really bad, and then I'm looking to take a corner in the first round.
Yeah, that's what you would have signed James Pierre to.
Right.
Along those lines. Where are these guys at? They had to sign somewhere. Maybe this
does it make you go team by team or whatever?
It just rolls you down through the teams. Yeah. Yeah. According to this, nobody has signed those players. Well, we haven't finished free agency yet, so nobody has signed those players yet. But
okay. They weren't available for us to sign. That's why I was curious if they had contracts, or I don't know how this whole system works. But.
Okay, so we ended up getting Justin Fields back. Now, it shows his cap hit as being $20 million. It's not going to be $20 million. Right. Darius Slayton shows his cap hit being $15 million. It would not be $15 million.
We'd have more money to spend.
Yeah. But we got through all that, and we still had $4.6 million to spend, or we'd be fine.
But the contracts, I thought, were reasonable. Ward, Slayton, Fields, certainly Herbert.
Gives you a realistic idea of what this might look like. Obviously, you're going to be other teams on there jockeying for these guys, but okay.
There you go. All right, cool.
Anyways, that was the Pro Football Network NFL offseason manager. He is Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network, and Matt and I will be back to finish up the show right after this. And we are back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And, Matt, the legal tampering period will open next week at noon, I believe.
There'll be stuff when we're on the air.
So, by the time we come back at noon next week on Monday, there will be some news out there, and I would expect some news regarding Steeler signings.
Absolutely.
Signing or signings as well.
Yeah, over the weekend, I would be shocked if we don't have some sort of Steeler news. There's something that all over the league all the time. You know what I mean? Right now. There has to be. I mean, as you mentioned, I think there's 4 teams that aren't even cap compliant at the moment. They have to make moves.
They got to do something to get under.
Right.
I know we just signed Justin Fields to a 2-year, $40 million contract.
Mm-hmm.
Gardner Minshew last year got a 2-year, $25 million contract that included a $6 million signing bonus and $15 million guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
My guess,
that's not a terrible comp. Yeah,
my guess would be the Fields contract comes in closer to that than
you think it's in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
Makes me more and more interested in
Fields. At least that's what I believe the Steelers will be offering. That doesn't mean that's what Fields is going to accept. And people need to understand, you can't hold a gun to Justin Fields' head right now and say, you got to sign this.
Oh, right. He might say the Jets might be crazy and double that. Who knows? I mean, or whatever.
I know the legal tampering period opens Monday.
Right.
That doesn't mean other teams haven't already spoken to Justin Fields' agent and go, yes, we're highly interested in Justin.
Yeah. Justin's agent might have a ballpark of what his client's going to get. That's what the agents are for.
That's what they do.
That's why you give them a percentage of your contract. Right. I don't know. I mean, I do think it's an odd contract to work out. I don't think I've stressed this enough in these conversations, but I would have it so incentive-laden. You know, bet on yourself.
But he might not want to do that.
And
like somebody else might be just like, hey, we're just gonna
maybe
we're just gonna pay it.
Yeah.
We need a quarterback. We're just gonna pay you whatever. And you can't control that if you're the Steelers. You can't.
And money talks. There's no doubt about that. But I would think coming back to a stable environment with a second year of your career that you actually have the same system. And frankly, of all the teams that would be interested in Fields, the Steelers are the best one. I mean, in terms of chances to go to the playoffs and those type of things, you know, team success. But who knows? I mean, I would never give any player a hard time if he takes $1 more anywhere else. I mean, that's just. Would you out there?
It's
people,
free agency.
Right.
You know,
free agency.
If you were in your current job and you had a contract and the contract was up, and I don't know if I want to move my family, but these guys are offering me more money.
You got to listen.
You listen.
Yeah. Right.
You know.
And frankly, I don't know if Fields has a family or if he's married or his kids or whatever.
We're talking about way different money here, too.
Yeah, exactly.
This isn't, leaving your $75,000 a year job
for
to go take an 80.
Right.
This is about life-changing money.
Absolutely. And the other thing people don't think about with this, too, is Florida doesn't have state income taxes. Cost of living is so much different for the houses that these guys are going to buy, and taxes and all those type of things, too. New York's not cheap. You know what I mean?
San Francisco, L.A. You want to go to somewhere like that, they're going to the offer does have to be more.
Mm-hmm. And we were talking about Jacksonville, how they're always churning the free agent market. Well, part of it's because Florida's no taxes. People want to. It's a better deal to go there.
Yeah, you get more in your take-home pay than what you get in Pennsylvania. But the Texas teams have the same thing. Vegas has the same thing.
And I understand that this market will scrutinize people too. But, man, I think part of the reason that quarterbacks don't do great in New York is the media and and there might be other teams other than the Jets, but I keep thinking Jets with Fields if it's not here. If you're the guy for the Jets and they're 3-14,
it's going to be rough.
It's going to be a long year. I'm just telling you that, you know, in terms of the media scrutiny and all that kind of stuff. It's not an easy environment.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And so we'll have some potential news about that by the time we get back here on Monday. But, Matt, that's going to do it for the show this week and for today as well. So for my partner,
Next
Matt Williamson.
Be a flurry.
For Justin Miller here on site, making sure we stay on the air. For Tyler Vittmeyer, making sure our video gets out there on the YouTube. Give us a thumbs up on that. Come on.
Subscribe.
We should be getting more hits on YouTube than some guy sitting in his basement just regurgitating whatever rumor that he heard up.
Yeah.
Just made up in his mind, I'm Dale Lolley. We thank you for listening to this edition of The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network.
Steelers football happens here. The Pittsburgh Steelers Audio Network.